for right here. Congratulations on the win. Quick fight. So I'm sure you're happy with the victory, but is that how you saw your performance playing out with that submission?
Parabéns pela luta, foi uma finalização aí, foi assim que você viu a luta se desenrolar?
Sim, eu estou muito feliz com essa luta. Eu só não sabia se ia vencer por nocaute ou por finalização. Mas eu sabia que eu ia terminar essa luta antes de deixar na mão dos juízes.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I came to finish this fight. I didn't know if it would be a submission or a knockout, but there's no way I will let that fight go to the judge. You know, I came to finish.
And then it seems like once the fight touched the canvas, you were immediately working for the submission. Is that accurate? As soon as you went down, you were working for it.
Logo que a luta foi pro chão, pareceu que você já começou a trabalhar para finalização. Era esse o seu plano se a luta fosse pro chão?
Então, se a luta fosse para o chão, eu estava muito confiante e não me desesperar, não ficar nervosa. Então, eu estava muito confiante com o meu chão e de trabalhar o chão ali para encaixar uma finalização.
Yeah, if the fight was going to the ground, I was super confident, and my coach told me to don't get nervous and work on a submission, and that's what I do. You know, as soon as I touch the floor, I start going for the submissions.
And of course, you called out Valentina. Valentina said she'll see you late. She'll see you soon. You said you were ready. Have you spoken to anyone in the UFC if that is your next fight?
Você, logo após a luta, você já pediu para lutar com a Valentina. A Valentina já tweetou falando que te vê em breve. Você já falou com alguém do UFC? Alguém já te falou que você vai ser a próxima alguém do UFC?
Ainda não. Eu só pensei, seguindo a lógica como a Jojo ia lutar contra a Valentina, né? Já que a gente fez essa luta agora, então provavelmente, né, eu entro no lugar dela e eu sinto que eu estou pronta.
Not yet. They didn't say nothing yet, but you know, Jojo is supposed to fight for the title, and then she fought me. I beat her, so probably I'll be the next. So I'm hoping to be the next.
And one final one. Valentina's looked pretty unstoppable at flyweight. So watching her, do you see any holes in her game?
A Valentina tem se mostrado tipo imparável. Você assistindo o jogo dela, comparando o seu, você vê algum buraco no jogo dela?
É difícil. Ela é uma atleta muito dura, mas é lutando contra ela que eu acho que eu vou conseguir achar um buraco para vencê-la.
Yeah, that's a hard question. She's very, very good everywhere, but we're gonna find out when we fight. You know, I'm feeling very good. I'm feeling ready, and we're gonna find out.
If you can, that armbar was pretty spectacular. If she can kind of walk through the setup, and when she locked it in, did she know for sure that the fight would be ending right then?
Seu armlock foi muito bonito. E eu queria que se você pudesse contar como que você foi chegando nele ali, escalando e tudo, eu queria ouvir.
Então, eu treinei muito isso com minha professora de jiu-jitsu, Erika Almeida. Ela me fez acreditar, né, que eu tinha a possibilidade para mim confiar nas posições, para mim ir com fé que eu ia, né, finalizar. E quando eu senti escalando ali, quando eu fui para o braço, escutei as coordenadas do meu técnico falando para eu não soltar aquele braço de maneira nenhuma. Eu até pensei em raspar e soltar o braço, mas com o incentivo dele falando para eu não soltar o braço foi fundamental para eu concluir e finalizar.
Yeah, I worked there a lot with my jiu-jitsu coach back in Brazil, and we were drilling 1,000 times. And I would listen to my coach too. You know, I taught one time and go for a sweep, but my coach was yelling at me to keep going to the arm, to don't let go of the arm. So I keep climbing. As soon as I got my legs nice and tight, so I just kept going to the arm. One time it was I lost it just a little bit. I just adjust back and pull the arm, and I was able to get the finish.
Jojo came in with a lot of hype. Do you think she possibly overlooked you or underestimated your skills? And do you think that's a problem that Valentina might fall into the same thing and underestimate you?
A Jojo veio muito confiante. Você acha que ela te subestimou um pouco, que ela estava se mostrando muito confiante? E você acha que a Valentina também possa, tipo, te subestimar?
Eu acho que a Jojo pode ter me subestimado, sim, né? Até por ter aceitado a luta com 2 semanas aí. Fiquei feliz de ter surpreendido a ela. E eu acho que a Valentina não vai me subestimar, porque eu acho que ela é uma atleta muito inteligente, então ela não vi isso dela subestimar nenhuma adversária.
I think Jojo underestimated me a little bit. You know, she had to fight for the title, and then she got a short notice in 2 weeks. I think she did underestimate me a little bit, but I think Valentina is a smarter fighter. You know, she's the champion, and I think she's gonna study me very well. I don't think she will underestimate me. Good. Thank you.
All right. We just heard from Jennifer Maia. We just there I am. Trying to get this thing together. It kind of happened real quick here on MMAfighting.com's YouTube channel. We just wrapped up UFC Vegas 5. Look at that setup. Unbelievable. Casey Leydon, you are a gem, sir.
Magic. Movie magic.
Movie magic. Here we are.
Wow.
So this is the beginning of our post-fight coverage here on MMAfighting.com. I am Mike Heck, being joined by Alex K. Lee and E. Casey Leydon. UFC Vegas 5 is in the books. Probably the craziest 48 hours that I can remember for a UFC event heading in and coming out, but it all was capped off by Derek Brunson finishing Edmen Shahbazyan in the 3rd round. What a performance from Derek Brunson tonight. That platinum hair seemed to be the big thing. He gets it done. Alex, what did you think of Derek Brunson's performance tonight?
Man, he was great. Look, he showed a lot in his last 2 fights against Elias Theodorou and Ian Heinisch. A lot of the growth that, like, you know, we say about fighters all the time, just because they pick up a win, you know, anytime you're winning, everything looks good. You know, we'll say, oh, he looked better here, he looked better there. But it was real. I think if you review, again, those previous 2 fights, you will see a guy who already very talented, has like a ton of great wins in the UFC, a ton of great highlights, and then just seemed more complete in his last 2 wins. I know, you know, Heinisch didn't have the biggest name, and Theodorou don't have the biggest name. They didn't quite get the hype that Shahbazyan was getting heading into this matchup. It was all Shahbazyan. So Brunson not just winning, but really, I think, dominating this matchup. It really showed like how far that he has developed. It's not an illusion. He's the best he's ever been at age 36.
David says DeStefano, Brunson is good. I knew he'd be a hard test for Edmen, and I think we all sort of agreed with that Brunson has derailed these hype trains many times before. Did it again tonight. Casey, I don't want to give away like everything we're going to talk about because we're going to do the post show with all of you guys a little bit later as well. But before they come up, because Dana White is probably going to take the stage very soon, we'll hear from Derek Brunson as well. Predictions on the bonuses. How do we do this? And do we give away 5 bonuses since we lost so many fights?
Well, the UFC did, no matter what, the UFC saved a lot of money tonight because they didn't have to give out an extra 4 win bonuses. So I would hope they spread the money out a little better. I mean, a little more. But for bonuses, I definitely think if you go to the traditional 2 performance fight of the night, Derek Brunson, top 2 fights, Derek Brunson, Jennifer Maia, and then fight of the night, I would personally go with Lando versus Green 2.
And who sort of predicted that on Between the Links? That would be this guy right here. So Jed Meshew is no longer the Between the Links champion. I'm the Between the Links champion. Although Gerald Mearshart versus Ed Herman would have been a lot of fun. And they were trying, the UFC were trying to do Kevin Holland versus Ed Herman. They really were trying to put this thing together last minute after Trevin Giles had that fainting, and it was unfortunate that we lost him. We hope he's doing better. It seems like he's in good spirits and that he's recovering. He wanted to get in there and fight, but apparently Ed Herman had left the bubble, had a couple of bevies, probably another one in hand when he got the call, so there was no Hail Mary to be had tonight. But hopefully we can get both these guys maybe on next weekend's card or sometime this month, because you got to kind of feel for both of those guys. And, of course, Gerald Mearshart was pulled from his fight moments before the card started after testing positive for COVID-19. So this is, after looking at, I think, at the Tapology page, I think there were officially more shuffles, more cancellations than actual fights that took place tonight by like 30%. It's crazy. I think it was like, ended up being 12 or 13 switches and then 8 actual fights. Just a wild run. AK, can you remember anything this wild over a 48-hour stretch like this?
Boy, I saw 2 events being bandied about. They didn't, not quite over 48-hour stretch, but I saw the 2 ones mentioned somewhat recent. UFC 223, the Khabib Iaquinta card, which was, I think, originally supposed to be one of the dreaded Khabib Ferguson matchups, which then became Khabib Max Holloway, and then Khabib Iaquinta. And also, of course, because of the incident that happened this week, who else? I think Michael Chiesa lost a fight that week, right? And Artem Lobov lost that fight. That was, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm talking about, of course, the McGregor Barclays Center bus incident. So that would certainly be up there, but not the 48-hour span that we're talking about here. And then someone else also brought up UFC 200, which, of course, was a huge anniversary show that had John Jones failed drug test, among other things. So 48 hours, though, yeah, tough to beat this one. This was insane. Let's look at that. Other way. Look at that.
Yeah.
I think UFC 200 makes 223 was nuts just because of what happened and Conor throwing the dolly and people getting scared and getting injured and things like that. But UFC 200 was different because they were able to fill that spot against Daniel Cormier. Last second, brought in Anderson Silva, of all people, to come in and replace John Jones. Great stoppage by Herb Dean, by Marcus Bailey. I agree with that 100%. In fact, Casey, let me ask you this. I still feel the fight should have been stopped after the second round. Shahbazyan was in big trouble. His head hit the mat a few times. He looked like he was out cold. Somehow he rolled over and got back, but he didn't look like he was there at all, getting off the stool and getting ready to come out in that third round.
Herb could have stopped it, but I'm happy he didn't, because he gave Shahbazyan the respect, in a sense, to like, all right, you've earned this main event shot. I'm gonna respect you like you're a championship main event fighter. Go to your corner. If you have 60 seconds to recover with your corner. And then as soon as that ended, he brought in the doctor to look at him, and I thought everything was actually done properly. And then as soon as the third round started, Herb clearly gave Shahbazyan a very short leash. So I think Mike, you are right. It could have been stopped easily at the end of the second round, but I actually think Herb did a great job letting it extend a little longer with the doctor coming in, looking at things. So yeah.
AK, we started off with some history tonight. In the very first fight of the night, the first unanimous draw in UFC history that didn't require a point deduction between Chris Gutierrez and Cody Durden. I'm curious, AK, because I know a lot of people scored that first round 10-8 for Cody Durden. I'm not going to argue that fact. I'm not going to argue anyone who said that, but I thought it was a 10-9. I thought Cody dominated the round, but I didn't think he beat the hell out of Chris Gutierrez for the entire round. Yeah, he had him in some bad positions, but it's not like he dropped him and was close to finishing the fight. He had his jaw wired up, but I didn't think he was close to actually finishing that fight. And normally that's what I think a 10-8 round is. What say you?
Well, here's the screwed up thing about here's the latest screwed up thing about MMA scoring, which we talk about every day. I think the judges did the right thing. I disagree with the score. If you ask me who won the fight, Chris Gutierrez won that fight. But there were definitely grounds for a 10-8 for how long Durden was in control. He was in control almost that entire fight. I don't think he was close to finishing, which is something I consider. Well, he had a very nice neck crank, almost, actually, I should say. But outside of that, I didn't think he was that close to finishing. None of the strikes he was landing were particularly impactful. So for me, by my definition, it's not a 10-8. But I can see why the judges did go that way with it. And yet, if you're asking me, I thought Gutierrez won the second and third rounds more convincingly. But because the way we score things, you couldn't really give him a 10-8 in either of those rounds. So it's so messed up. So the draw, by the way these fights are scored, was fair. But really, I think if you ask anyone who won that fight, I think Gutierrez won. Is that not true?
Well, Gutierrez definitely won by pride rules. If you grade you grade by the whole fight, and that's all that really matters. Come on, man. But I think actually it was scored correctly. The first round was a 10-8 because. Like I said, you don't actually have to punch your opponent. He had dominance and duration. He had at least over 4 minutes. He had complete back control and going for submission attempts. He did no damage, but he had dominance, a dominant position, and duration. 4 minutes I would consider that a substantial amount of duration. So yeah, every 10-8 clearly isn't created equal. Every 10-9 isn't created equal. Obviously that 10-8 that if the main event would have gone 3 rounds, I would have to assume the second round was a 10-8. Clearly that was that's almost borderline 10-7, which you rarely see. So I think in the modern judging criteria, damage, duration, what am I forgetting? damage duration and dominance. I think what's the Gutierrez's opponent name? I forgot. He was new.
Cody Durden.
Durden. I think Durden did get the 10-8, and yeah.
Did you think Munoz got a 10-8 in that first round, Casey?
Munoz. Wait, what fight are we talking about?
That was the main. That was the third fight.
The third fight.
You know what?
Had him mounted, beat him, almost finished the fight, got saved by the bell.
You know what? I didn't. I think I was busy, so I didn't get to watch that fight completely. So
okay.
I can't answer you.
All right. I mean, that was pretty close. Like, if you're gonna call the first round 10-8 for Durden, you probably should have given 10-8 for Munoz.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, but
I'm sure. Well, actually,
they're not created equally.
Yeah. In the Gutierrez fight, I felt like the third round, Gutierrez was so dominant. I felt like a third round was almost like a 10-8.5. It was so close to almost being a 10-8 too. But hey, we have a boxing scoring system in mixed martial arts for 3-round fights. So here we are.
That is very true.
But sorry, I was making a face during all that, not because of anything, not because of any of the excellent points that Casey was making. We have the bonuses. The bonuses are in. Bobby Green, Line of Venata, Fight of the Night, excellent choice. Jennifer Maya, Vicente Luque, not Derek Brunson.
What?
Wow.
I will say Luque's finish was friggin' awesome. Let's not take away from that. His finish was friggin' amazing. But usually in these scenarios, when you have a great performance like Derek Brunson had in the main event, you usually get a performance bonus. Usually, I've seen guys in main events get performance bonuses for less. So I do feel for Brunson, honestly, so I do feel for Brunson a little in the situation. Not to take it from Luque, because for anyone who didn't see Luque's finish, he did this beautifully timed knee against the fence, and really a timing he created himself by holding Brown's head just like up, so that his hands couldn't reach the ground, and he connected with an excellent knee. Really, like one of those things only an elite striker could even hope to do or think of. But I feel like Brunson may have gotten robbed of a bonus here.
Oh yeah, he
got robbed. What if Jonathan Martinez had made weight? Because he was like almost perfect tonight, near perfect. It was unbelievable from start to finish. He was stupendous, Jonathan Martinez. He just happened to miss weight, and Frankie Saenz is tougher than a $2 steak, and hung in there that whole time. Is that veteran grit that kept him in there? But that was another incidents where I kind of wish the referee stepped in and stopped that fight. Maybe not even let Saenz come out in the third round, because he took a ton of damage in that fight.
I just want to point this out.
Right.
These are what the fans thought coming in, and I like going by this predictor rather than the lines, because the lines, you're betting against the line. This is just a straight up who's going to fight. That's honestly, if you look at this is like one of the biggest upsets of the year. You know, when it really wasn't, but from a fan perspective, this was an incredibly big upset, and obviously it upset Dana White so much that he didn't give Derek Brunson $50,000.
They put a lot of money into promoting Shahbazyan, Casey. They put a lot of money into that.
He's the Doglin boy. Was it?
the Doglin boy.
The Doglin boy. Yeah.
People check my Twitter if you want to see what we're talking about. There was an egregious typo on the screen, unfortunately, for Edmen Shahbazyan, but.
I have a quick question for you, AK. By the way, if you're just joining us right now, this is the beginning of our post-fight coverage. UFC Vegas 5 is in the books. We heard from Jennifer Maya already. I believe we're going to hear from Dana White. We're going to hear from Derek Brunson. We will not hear from Edmen Shahbazyan. He is being transported to a local hospital, so we will not hear from him. A gentleman by the name of Jed Meshew had a question for you, AK. He said, "Hey, Mike, first time, long time. Can you ask AK how it felt to get beat by that handsome stranger on Between the Links, and does the loss still haunt him? Thank you."
You can tell Jed it haunts me much more to edit the writing that we do together on Miss Fists every week, and having to deal with his typos and also make his sentences serviceable and legible. So it's really nothing compared. Debating him was a pleasure compared to editing him. Let me put it that way. So thank you for chiming in, Jed.
Jose Young said, "I dunked on Alex Cayley so hard his quote-unquote mustache disappeared."
No one even knows what Jose's talking about. So, I don't even want to acknowledge. At least Jed, I understand what he's talking about. I'm not even sure what Jose's talking about. We did. Is he also talking about Between the Links, which happened like a month ago? Move on with your life, buddy. Jeez. Goodness.
I don't know what that means either.
No one does. Really, honestly, no one.
You don't even know? You don't know either?
He's following up with comments, and apparently it's a separate incident from Between the Links. Literally nobody knows what you're talking about, Jose.
I don't know what's worse, Alex Cayley's loss in Between the Links or that time I dunked on him. Is this a real Jose Youngs? Is this the real Jose Youngs? Or is this a Jose Youngs troll account? Is this like the fake Ariel account that Dana White replied to? I don't really know. Does
that have an accent over it? I can't tell, because if it doesn't,
it does.
Because he's a stickler for that accent over the E. Let me tell you, you leave that accent, you don't put that accent over the E on Jose Youngs, it's your ass, buddy. It's your ass. I've experienced it.
So there'll be some, I'm sure, some very interesting questions for Dana White tonight. One of which would probably have to do with the Ed Herman situation and Mearshart and the Kevin Holland situation, and how close were we to getting Kevin Holland versus Ed Herman tonight? Will we see that maybe next weekend? Who the hell knows? Nate Manus gets his first win over Johnny Munoz Jr. I think at this point, AK, we do our On to the Next One podcast. I don't even know if we're going to touch on this at all, even though there were 8 fights, so we technically could do all of them and fit them all in a 30-minute time span. But I think you do the newcomers and match these guys up. Cody Durden, Johnny Munoz Jr., 2 guys who came in short notice, clearly got tired in their fights because they didn't have full camps. Both are 35ers. Let's just match these 2 guys up down the road. What say you?
You said Johnny Munoz, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't throw Vincent Cachero in the mix there. Another guy who's clearly a... Did you say Vincent Cachero? You said Cody Durden and Johnny Munoz, right?
Munoz. Because those guys are 35ers. Vince is a 45er.
Is he? He looked so small. I don't think... There's no way Cachero's a natural 45er.
Let me just double check.
There's no... I'm pretty sure he was a bantamweight in Legacy Fighting Alliance, because he looked tiny. Or Emmers is a massive featherweight, which is also
yeah, you're right. I stand corrected. He's fought at both, actually.
Yeah, he's fought at both. Yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, all 3 of those guys, I think, with a proper training camp and a proper their proper weight class, yeah, they I hope they all get another chance, because I thought they all put forth good efforts. Again, who was on 1 day's notice? Munoz. And Cachero.
Yep.
That's insane. That's insane.
Martin Resendez, Shahbazyan gassed out. Yeah, I think you could say that. I mean, and me and Casey were talking about this off air before we went live.
Yeah, that's why I want to talk about this.
When you're so used to landing those shots and putting guys away in the first round, like he's been the distance once before in his debut against Darren Stewart. It was a little bit of a different game plan. It was more of a wrestling base in that fight. But, I mean, there were times where Brunson was a little bit stunned. Dominic Cruz mentioned it. Like, every time Shahbazyan land, like, Brunson's facials changed. Even when he was blocking shots, you could see the demeanor of Derek Brunson change a little bit. But probably like 2 minutes in the second round, you saw Shahbazyan start to take those big breaths, and Derek Brunson just calm, cool, collected, took the fight over from there. So when do you feel like Edmen Shahbazyan sort of turned the corner, AK, and started to slow down a little bit?
I don't know if it was just getting tired, because he went 3 rounds in his UFC debut, if I recall.
Yeah.
They weren't as difficult as these 2.5 rounds were. Or 2 rounds, I should say, and then a little bit of the third. That's for sure. So, man, I don't know. I don't know if there was ever a point where he was ever in control or ever looked really good. I shouldn't say, because the first round was close, but it wasn't for someone who's finished his last 3 opponents so fast and is kind of being hyped up as that fast finisher. The fact that Brunson was doing so much better than people expected, it did, maybe make me think that Shahbazyan wasn't looking great. But really, it was a competitive first round. So, but I'm hesitant to say it was his cardio at some point gave out in the second or like that, because I do think right from the start Brunson had the right game plan, and I don't know if he ever let Shahbazyan get into that beast mode that we've seen.
I do want to talk about a tweet that I just came across from one Platinum Mike Perry. He said, "I want to be a better role model for my family, for my unborn son, my queen, and for myself, so I can earn the respect I deserve. To my sponsors and my bosses at the UFC, I want to apologize for how my actions have impacted our relationships. I will be better all around." So Mike Perry with the public apology. AK, you look like you just ate something that you never ate before and you didn't like it. Oh, here comes Dana White.
Whoa.
So we'll get your response to that afterwards. But let's hear from UFC President Dana White right now.
All right.
Jose, can you check if the UFC sound is working? I'm not getting any sound, Jose.
This is muted.
Can someone message Jose? Make sure we're real quick.
Working on this.
You know, used his experience,
Thank you.
and I believe used his wrestling the way he used to use his wrestling, you know, when he first came into the UFC.
You're used to last-minute changes, but Kevin Holland and Giles that fell through at the last second. What exactly happened?
Yeah, you know, he fainted. This was the fucking craziest week ever. We got through it. You know, we're here. He fainted. Holland couldn't have had a better attitude about, you know, the fight pulling out. He's like, he was ready to fight tonight if we ended up getting Ed Herman back. And he wants to fight next week or the week after, whatever we want, he's ready to go. So kid couldn't have had a better attitude about it. And, you know, I'm excited to see him come back and fight.
Did you reach out to Ed Herman to see if he could step in today?
Yeah. We were trying to track him down. Ed Herman's nickname is Short Fuse for a reason, okay? He was pissed off about the fight today, and he was going crazy. And then this thing happens, and we were trying to get him back. And how should I put this? He couldn't. Let's just say he couldn't come back. He wasn't. He had moved on.
Jennifer Meyer got an impressive win over Joanne Calderwood. On the broadcast, Valentina Shevchenko said, "I'll see you soon." Is she the next number one contender?
Yeah. That's a fight. Listen, I have a lot of respect for JoJo. She's been working hard, taking her career very serious, and has been back on track since she moved to Vegas. And, you know, Jennifer looked damn good tonight. So, yeah, it makes sense for her and Valentina to fight.
Do you have a time scale on when Valentina?
No clue. ASAP.
And last thing for me, what did you think of the stoppage in the main event? Some thought Herb was waving off at the end of the second round, and then he waved off pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Shahbazyan looked like he was out at the end of that round. You know, I think that the doctor could have stopped. First of all, the doctor's obviously inexperienced. You know, I don't know anything about the doctor, but I haven't seen him before. You got Brunson, who ends that round strong. Many could argue that fight could have been stopped right there at the end of the round. Sure, the ref thought the guy would have time to go back. What you don't do is talk to the guy for fucking 10 minutes while he's hurt. You know what I mean? Either stop the fight or let him continue, but go. You know, you're letting the kid recover while you got Brunson, who just did that work, and he's waiting for the bell to ring so that he can go in and finish the fight. Pull the trigger one way or the other. Stop the fight or don't.
Cheers, man.
What did you think of Shahbazyan? Were you disappointed in how he fought?
Kev, you got to take that off to talk to me.
What did you think of Shahbazyan? Were you disappointed by how he fought?
No, I wasn't disappointed. He's going in against. Listen, everybody knew, no matter what the odds said, he's going in against an experienced fucking guy. I mean, you know, you're going to Brunson's fought everybody. Shahbazyan hasn't fought everybody. And this is where you find out where a guy's at tonight. You put him in against a guy like Derek Brunson.
What was your take? I mean, it seemed like, you know, he's had 9 knockouts in the first round. Didn't seem like he was hurting Brunson at all. I mean, I know he's going to the body.
You have to ask Brunson that one. I would disagree with you. I think Brunson got hit with some good shots tonight, and I think Brunson was in shape. He was definitely in shape tonight, wrestled a lot, and he ate some big fucking shots in that first round. You're going to have to ask him that, though. I didn't get hit with him. He did.
Yeah, I saw the one body shot that it kind of backed him up, but it seemed like
he hit him with body shots and kicks to the body too.
Yeah, it seemed like he did good work there. Did you see in Edmen, even though he lost the fight, did you see the things that made you think he was such a great prospect in the first place?
Yeah. I think the kid is good. Listen, taking anything away from Brunson, but he looked like he gassed out in that second round. But you got to credit Brunson for that too. I think that Brunson mixed up his striking and his wrestling tonight like he used to, and he also came in great shape. You know, he definitely came in better shape than Shahbazyan did.
And then lastly, just on Trevin Giles, I mean, are you guys going to send him to another doctor, or was the report you got enough that you're fine, he's okay, and he doesn't have to go anywhere when he gets home?
Say it again.
Trevor Giles. In Houston when he gets home.
I don't know. You listen. Our crew takes such good care of these guys. They'll know where he's at and what's going on. I think that the doctors tonight think that his anxiety went through the roof and he fainted. That was one of those fights tonight that I picked to be, if you don't know, now you know fights. And, there's a lot of pressure and who knows what he was dealing with, and he fainted. We had 2 faintings tonight. It's crazy. So,
Dana.
You done, Kev? Jojo, after the fight. Yeah.
Did Kevin Holland get his any win bonus or anything? Because
So these guys that didn't fight tonight, they got paid some money, and we're trying to turn these guys around. I think Holland's going to fight next week, so they got paid some money, and then they didn't get their show money though.
And what do you do with Vicente Luque? He was obviously ranked, but he fought a guy that wasn't ranked, and then he wins. Then he calls out Nate Diaz, who's right underneath him in the rankings. His 2 teammates are supposed to fight for a title next. So what do you do with him moving forward?
With Luque?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. We gotta. Fights happen. We'll have a matchmaking meeting next week and sit down and walk through. What's next and what's next for Brunson too.
And then unrelated to this fight, I think Connor responded to you on Twitter. He said, I accept in Tagalog, which is what Filipinos speak. He's obviously under the same management firm as Manny Pacquiao, which led to a lot of rumors circulating. So is there anything happening there?
Who called him out?
Connor tweeted, I accept in a Filipino language. He's under the same management team as Manny Pacquiao, which started a lot of rumors.
I don't care about any of that shit.
Hey, Dana.
Hey, buddy.
From a business standpoint, how did things go in Abu Dhabi?
Oh, it was incredible. Abu Dhabi was successful in every way that you can call an event successful.
And what was the transition like coming back to here? I know August is a huge month for you. I think this is one of the busiest months ever with events. What's that going to be like transitioning from Abu Dhabi to, I think, 9 events here at the Apex?
Well, other than sleep for a few days was a mess. Everything's good. I mean, it was an incredible experience. It was first class for everybody who was involved in the thing, and but it's good to be home too. So it's good to be home. I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited about the Contender Series. You guys know, most of the people in here have been to them. They're fun. They're exciting. The thing's been so successful that this one's on ESPN Plus. This thing's going to air in Brazil. It's airing in Canada now. So this thing's really got some legs in the last couple of seasons. And, these kids that are unsigned and nobody knows will literally be fighting in front of the whole world now. So the stakes are a lot higher. It's on a much higher level now, and I'm looking forward to it.
What are your thoughts about how you guys have handled the pandemic and the COVID-19 issues? Because Major League Baseball is ready to go down the tubes right now, and it seems like you guys have handled it from the get-go pretty well, and had been able to overcome any issues.
Yeah, thank you. I knew we would from day one. I knew that we would be able to do this. I knew that we would spend the money and get the right people involved. I believe in my staff, and obviously I believe in the fighters. I knew that we could do this, and I knew we would. There's a lot of mistakes that these other leagues have made, and that they could do it right if they wanted to, but I don't know.
Was the mistake not being in the bubble?
Yep, you have to be in the bubble. It's impossible to pull this thing off without a bubble. You have to do it.
One more. Did you say Jojo passed out after the fight? I don't think we knew that. What happened?
I don't know. She fainted.
In the back after?
After the fight, yeah. So we transported her.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Wow. Got a feel for Joanne Calderwood. That was some shocking news, and kudos to Jose Youngs, the great Jose Youngs, for following up, because that's what we hear that, and if you could see our face, we're all like, what, and then nobody followed up, like, what the hell? But Jose coming through for the team. Some interesting things there from Dana White. I can confirm that Kevin Holland is going to fight next weekend. I have spoken to his team. That is going to happen. As of right now, there is no opponent for one Kevin Holland, but he will fight next week. So there you go. He is going to turn around quickly, and we will try to confirm this information soon in terms of opponents. So the Trailblazer will be back. We'll be sticking around Vegas. Maybe he could sit VIP for the Contender Series on Tuesday. I think he deserves that at this point. But AK, what stuck out to you from Dana White's post-fight scrum as we await the arrival of the big winner tonight, Derek Brunson?
I mean, the JoJo thing was big, of course. Thoughts and prayers to her. Hopefully she's okay, as well as Trevin Giles. We'll talk about JoJo more in a second. I was a little more concerned about the fighters not necessarily getting their full show money. Looks like
AK, I'm sure
Derek
you
Brunson.
had a brilliant point to come, but Derek Brunson's here.
Save for the post show.
Kevin Randleman, here he comes.
How are you, brother? Obviously, you had to put up with all the hype, hearing about all the hype of him. Does it feel better when you beat a guy where everybody, he's almost a 4-1 favorite over you, and he's, getting all that attention? Does it feel any better, or is it a win-win?
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely feels better. I had to get off social media all week. I opened up my phone and I was just like kind of glancing at it, turn away, wasn't reading no Facebook, no Instagram. Everybody was just, you're going to get dogged, you're going to get, beat up real bad. I mean, I looked really good tonight. I got the finish, but let's not forget about what this kid done. Tavares is no slouch, and he went out there and just put Tavares away with nasty combos and all his fights. He's just putting people away. So, I'm just believing and trusting in what I've been doing lately, and that made the difference.
He was going hard to your body. Did he ever hurt you with any of the body shots? It seemed like you backed into the cage.
No, I'm really elusive about getting hit when I want to. But he was catching me right at the end of the punches. I saw that early that he was going to try to go to the body. But I was okay with that because he has, really good high kicks. I was kind of expecting that. So he definitely was mixing up a little different than I thought he would come out.
And you had said the other day that, when you have a full camp, that you're always the elite guy. I mean, do you feel like from this point forward now, you're not going to take a fight if you have those 10 days off, you have the flu in the middle, like will you skip those fights and just fight only when you have the full camp, given the results?
Yeah, I'm not giving enough respect in this division, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with earning it. There's been fights when I had the flu. I went to the doctor to, nurse myself back to health, and 5 days later the fight come up. Or we had a hurricane in North Carolina, and I was home with the family, making sure everything was okay, and I had to fight, 10 days after that. So, and I wasn't training for 2 weeks. But nobody cares about the excuses. But whenever I have a fight, yes, I want to prepare properly and get a full camp in. And the guys down there with Henry Hoof and Sanford MMA, they get me ready for these big fights.
And my last question for you, you look above you in the division. It's one of the best divisions out there, and there's a lot of really good guys. So where do you think you fit in, and what's the strategy? Where do you go next?
Yeah, we're going to sit down and look at the division, what's up with the BMF belt, that's out there. Yeah, guys in the division, you have Till, you have Hermanson, you have a lot of guys, that surging on and have a huge name that can make for great fights. So we're gonna sit back, take some time, and keep this momentum going.
Derek, right here. Did you think his corner should have let him out going into the third round?
Yeah, it's funny, man. I'm hearing like the media lately just saying, "Oh, they should have stopped the fight," but there would be no such thing as a comeback if they just stop every fight. If guys want to go back, he looked a little defeated in the corner for sure. He hasn't been pushed or tested, but take nothing away from the kid. He looked great in his other fights. You just had a guy who had a lot of fights, and it's like I had enough of coming out, putting up bad fights and just stinkers. So, I was really locked in for this fight and make sure that I'm out there executing.
Do you think these matchups can obviously work out for a prospect shooting up the rankings, but if they match them up with guys like you and you do what you did today, do you think that could be detrimental to their growth moving forward after getting their first loss so violently on such a big stage?
See, I don't think MMA should be building. Like, you look at NFL, NBA, if you're good, you play. Like, there's no such thing as, like, MMA needs to stop building fighters up. Like, if you're good enough, you're good enough to fight. You fight whoever is close in the rankings, and you go out there and earn it. You know, there should be no favoritism or, oh, look at him, he's young. Like, yeah, if you're earning your spot, yeah, fight somebody tough. Keep working your way up. He went out there and knocked Tavares out, and Tavares is no joke, you know. So, yeah, he earned this fight, you know, and everybody had me getting smoked until I go out here and get a victory. So, man, everybody got to earn their stripe. So he earned the fight, and I went out there and earned the victory.
Is that what you told him after I saw you kind of talking to him after the scorecard was, or the decision was read?
Yeah, it's funny, you know, I've had wars and words with people, but I kind of watched his social media, you know, checked him out, and I actually liked the kid, you know. He seemed like a very solid kid, like bubbly kid. He's supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, he seemed like just a overall solid kid, you know, so no trash talk. I know I had to cancel one fight due to a little injury. He didn't say anything negative. He just, you know, focused on himself. So, yeah, people like just good people, you want to see them do well, you know, and we clashed today, but I look forward to seeing him do well in the future.
And one final one, there's two key middleweight fights coming up. You got the title fight between Izzy and Costa, and then Whitaker and Cannonier was just booked. How do you see those fights playing out?
Yeah, those are some good fights. Izzy and Costa, Costa's going to come forward and just try to be the bull in that fight, you know, and Izzy's going to try to move around and pick them apart. So whoever can impose their will, and then you're going to have Cannonier and Whitaker. They're just going to be throwing hard shots the whole time. So whoever can land that shot, and that should be who pick up the win.
Derek, congratulations on the victory. Just curious, you were sitting back here, the boss man, he was talking about all these bonuses, didn't say your name. Does it bother you? You don't have any extra cash.
Hey, it's always like that, you know. I mean, I just spoil some parties, you know. So when people are a little, you know, I'm not saying nobody really. It's funny because nobody's really set up in MMA. It's like, okay, I fought him because I wasn't getting it done against the top, so I'm still ranked. I'm good enough at my age to still be ranked. He was surging, so boom, perfect matchup. So they had a lot of hype behind him and expect a lot from him. And when it didn't go his way, maybe Dana Vision a little clouded right now, you know, and deservingly so. I mean, they were expecting a lot of big things from him. You know, that's Ronda Rousey's golden boy. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Now that you got the victory and you look at this division, what's your pathway to the title? Do you have anyone that you're eyeing, or how do you see yourself holding a gold strap?
There's a lot of good fights to make, you know. Cannonier Whitaker, that's a good fight. You know, try to come up on the winner of that fight. You got Darren Till. I know he just lost, but he has a huge name. You got the BMF belt. A lot of things, you know. I want big fights. I want to go out here and prepare and get in these big fights.
And lastly, you and the champ have the same haircut. Who wears it better?
I wear it better, of course. You know, I'm the most handsome guy of the two.
One more. Speaking on you and Izzy, what's the difference between the Derek Brunson tonight and the one that fought the surging Israel Adesanya in New York?
Just wrong game plan. If you go look at that fight, I did it to myself. Taking nothing away from Izzy, but I did it to myself. I rushed in and got caught with a knee. I didn't really get picked apart from the outside. I was being too predictable with my takedowns. I shot in and got hit with a knee, and then I'm trying to fight when I get a little dazed and didn't turn out well. So, you know, I learned from all of my past fights, and I'm ready to move forward.
All right. He won the fight, did not win the bonus. Derek Brunson calling some shots. The BMF title, I got to say, I don't have a lot of hair to scratch, but I'm kind of scratching the dome a little bit. I mean, shoot for the stars and maybe you'll pull one down, D. Bruns, but I think you're shooting a little too crazy there. That's just one man's opinion, but good for you for trying. Hermanson makes sense. Till makes sense. But Hermanson, I think that's probably like the best path. I think he's earned that fight at this point. But that's just me. I think we're done.
Yeah.
I think we're done with this part.
Oh, no.
Of this, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, we're AK. Don't you worry.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
So stick around. We're gonna have a new link, I assume. Correct?
Yeah.
Casey Law.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go live and talk to all of you. about this card and everything that happened in this crazy 48-hour stretch. By the way, the one thing I do want to point out before we leave, the scorecards for Brunson Shahbazyan has come out. One judge gave Edmen Shahbazyan the first round. The two others gave Derek Brunson the first round. Then all three judges gave Derek Brunson a 10-8 in the second round. So
Okay, fair enough.
there you go. Good scores. Good scores. Figured the first round would be a toss-up, but that's it. Big shout out to Jose Youngs, making things happen, commenting on YouTube, shooting video, asking great questions. And Alex and Casey, I'll see you in about, 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
We'll keep this train moving and hope you guys can come with us. And we're going to talk. It's the people's post-fight show, everybody. We'll see you then.